This is Women in Music with Gfire Podcast, episode number 23 with singer-songwriter Emily Grace Clark. Hey, Emily Grace Clark, welcome to my studio.
Thank you, Gfire.
I am so glad that you were able to come today.
The feeling is very mutual.
Absolutely.
It's been a long time coming.
It has, hasn't it? We've been talking about this for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So
we've been meeting each other in random musical places for a couple of years.
I think so, but now our paths have crossed.
Perfect.
And it's synchronicity.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. So, well, let's introduce you to our listeners. First of all, where are you from originally?
I was born just outside of Carbondale, Illinois, in Murfreesboro, Illinois.
Okay. Is that near Chicago?
It's in the very southernmost tip of Illinois, so no.
Okay.
It's where SIU is, Southern Illinois University.
Did you go there?
I did, but I lived there until I was 3 and moved around until with my family until I was 21. And my father ended up taking a job there at 21. I went back.
Okay.
And ended up going to school there. I left school to go do music with just a few credits left to finish a degree. And I actually just returned online to graduate from SIU I think it was 15 years later.
But you
2
did
years ago. Yeah, I did it.
I did. What's your degree in?
Oh, that just university studies, liberal arts.
Right. Okay. I did that too.
But I'm doing my master's now in seminary as a result.
Okay. You're in seminary right now.
I am.
Nice. And so, you'll be able to marry people and stuff?
I will. I can now. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And what's your goal for your seminary?
Well, I ended up getting into advocacy over the last 5 years, specifically with very marginalized, such as homeless and victims of human trafficking.
Right.
And frankly, so much of that is influenced by the church and the government that I wanted to be able to speak into both and help evolve with both. So I'm getting my Master's of Divinity. When I began to do advocacy, I also began preaching at the facility that hosted the advocacy work I was doing. They asked me to additionally, as a side job. And so the two kind of went together, and I wanted a reason to keep doing it. Once I left where I was working, I realized how many of us feel a lot of feelings around what's going on in our nation and with the church, air quotes. But there isn't a lot of discussion within. I want to be a part of
the inner dialogue.
Yeah, in and out.
In the church.
Yeah.
Let's start some dialogue about the homeless and
the massive amount of human trafficking that is going on in the United States of America.
Well, nothing really surprises me anymore. Let's go back to the singer-songwriter part of you. When did you start on that?
I've been singing since I was a little girl. My dad took us. I have 6 brothers and sisters.
That's a lot.
And we would go to nursing homes. He would drag us on Saturdays to get out of our mom's hair. And he would take us to the most dejected, smelliest, worst nursing home and make us all go sing and adopt different abandoned, aging and elderly. And we would put on songs and dances. He made us, and it was.
He made you do it.
He made us do it. It was
I can
really
see
good.
where that background in, taking care of the untake-careables.
Well, we're so far removed. I think some of the problem is solved just by deciding to participate in the things you don't normally see. A lot of people say, what do I have to do to get involved? And I mean, it's not that difficult.
Right. You just get involved.
Yeah.
You just go and do it. So you started as a young girl singing in nursing homes with your 6 brothers and sisters.
I did.
And your dad.
Yeah.
Your dad sings.
Oh, he does. I don't know if he'd like me talking about it.
That's okay.
He's a blues man. He really is. He plays guitar and harmonica and sings. He's from the north of England. He's from Newcastle.
Oh, I know England. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got that sort of Scottish, Northern England folk feel, but that's a lot of the blues too. They were coal miners and, yeah.
And so he's from England. Where's your mom from?
My mom's from New England.
And they met in England or?
They met, my mother, her parents, my grandfather was an anthropologist. My mom was raised overseas, and she left home when she was in her late teens, early 20s.
Okay.
And it was in the 60s. Everybody was doing wild things. And her wild thing was to take the last of her money and go to London. And she was walking down the street and heard my dad singing "The Times They Are A-Changin'."
Wow.
He was busking, and she started singing with him. And they made more money that day. And so he asked her back, and the rest is history.
Are they still together?
They're not only still together, they were actually celebrating 50 years in London at, I think it's called Tottenham Court Road.
I know that.
Yeah. Yesterday. They sent a little picture. Yeah.
Wow.
But they live in the States. My dad, they live in Carbondale.
Illinois,
Right.
still in
Back to the
South
beginning.
Illinois. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a great story. So you actually have the DNA of 2 singers.
I'm afraid so.
No, I'm not afraid. You've got a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
It's great. So when did you actually start writing songs?
I wrote long before I would have called myself a songwriter. I was a poet and a writer at a young age. And I think I was better in a lot of ways back then than I am now.
Oh, don't say that.
Oh, I just had something that's different than now.
Okay.
But mid-20s, I tried. I began to sing somewhat professionally as a teenager, and then for real, early 20s, mid-20s. And that's when I began to write songs I was proud enough to sing on stage.
Right, exactly. Not just little things at home.
Yeah. But it took me a while to marry my poetry to writing music. That was not it didn't come as naturally as just writing does to me.
Okay.
Crafting the music.
Did you start playing guitar?
I started playing guitar at 10.
At 10, okay.
I got really sick with Lyme disease, and back then it was a brand new thing, and I was really experimented on. And the last year of it, I had it for 3 years. I was bedridden
For 3 years at the age of 10?
at the last year.
Okay.
Seventh grade.
Okay.
And I was a gymnast before that, and I would go and frolic in the sun, and this sickness just absolutely, stopped me in my tracks. And I picked up guitar then.
Okay, so that's the silver lining on that one.
That's the thing. That's yeah.
And so you've been singing and playing guitar for quite a while.
Yeah.
And so when you were in your 20s, were you still in Illinois?
I moved to Austin the year before Hurricane Katrina.
Okay.
And I've been here off and on ever since.
So you came to Austin
2004, something
and that was
like
the year before Katrina?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
I'm not sure that was 2004.
It was somewhere around there.
Yeah, I came and I've spent good solid amount of time in Nashville and LA since, but Austin is my home, and it's where I intend to stay for some time.
Okay, so you came here around 2004. And what was the first thing you did as far as singer-songwritering?
I played out at Pootie's.
Pootie's.
I did.
And you got a gig there?
He was still alive, obviously. Pootie was.
I don't know Pootie.
Pootie was Willie Nelson's stage manager for some 30 plus years.
Okay.
And he had a roadhouse out 71 out west of town. And it was legendary. It is still there and wonderful. But back then, it was quite the place to fall into. And I sort of did just that. And there is a house band called the Troubadours.
Is that still?
They break up and make up pretty regularly.
Okay.
But each of them plays up there at some point frequently. I don't know if they're all playing together right now. I know that many of them play on Tuesday nights.
Okay.
They were amazing. Hall of Famers, legendary, just kind of the old school, the serious, stuff I didn't understand about country music and where it comes together with the blues and with folk and with rock and roll. These guys really, they took me to school. And it was serious education.
So did you just get up and sing with the band?
I did. I
just do a cover song or something? Or how would you...
I came out to... It was Pootie's birthday was my first time. And it was, I mean, pretty shortly after I got out here. It's kind of a convoluted story how I was there. I met a woman named Rebecca backstage at a Willie Nelson concert in 98 in Atlanta. When I moved here, we got back into touch and she invited me. So I didn't really understand what I was going to or what was happening at all.
Okay.
But yeah, I got asked on stage and I sang As Long as I Can See the Light.
And is that who's
John Fogerty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And when did you start presenting your own songs?
I've actually never, I don't play my home where I live very often. I'll just come out and say that.
You don't play here in Austin?
I don't. And when I lived in Nashville and LA.
You didn't play in those?
I played in LA more than I did
in
Nashville. But I didn't I began to sing out and then I began to write music. A friend of mine named Matthew Perryman Jones, we've known each other since my late teens, and he offered to do an EP somewhere in those first 2 years.
Okay.
Flew out to Nashville, did that. It's one of those projects that you can find pieces of online, but generally I haven't released it.
Okay. This is your first
which is
EP.
the story of my life. I'm one of those. But yeah, then that sparked me playing my own stuff more honestly.
Okay.
There's a whole lot of cart before the horse with me.
That's okay. So he's based in Nashville?
He is.
And you met him?
I met him in Atlanta, Georgia.
And why were you in Atlanta?
We were both living in Atlanta, Georgia. He moved to Nashville and has since had an illustrious career.
Really?
From there.
As a producer?
He's a songwriter himself.
Okay.
But yeah, he does produce.
But he's mostly known as a songwriter.
Yeah.
So he was able to bring your songs to life.
Yeah, I think the fact that he knew me so well.
Great.
And we were comfortable together. It was a really wonderful, nurturing, fun first experience in the studio for sure.
Awesome. What was your next one?
The next one, well, I did some sort of garage band-ish stuff in Nashville that got recorded. And I did some touring. But that was one of those we sold out the back of the car. We did England and America a couple times. But my next big recording was out in LA with a man named John Thomas, who is Bruce Hornsby's piano player.
Okay.
He goes back to Captain Beefheart and all these strange cultish LA people. And I've become very, very close friends with JT.
JT, okay. He's still in LA?
He's still in LA. He's on the road quite a bit.
As a piano player?
Yeah.
Okay.
But he has a studio. And I recorded out there maybe 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were talking about that with just taking little breaks from actually putting out stuff. But so let's go into some career highlights. What might be something you're like, wow, this is so awesome that I did it? Or some people just say it's just great to get up every day and be able to be a singer-songwriter. So what do you think of the term career highlights?
I'll tell you, singing for victims of trafficking and the homeless are the highlights of my life. The nursing home. I sang to a client who passed away, who died while I was singing. That I can't think of anything else that means anything to me quite the same.
Okay.
You know, we struggle and strut. Here, I'm quoting Shakespeare.
Good person. If you're going to quote somebody, that's okay.
We try so hard to make these moments matter on stage, right? Or
of course.
And be recorded in the prime or in the best way we can be. But I've come to really appreciate the now and the intimacy that can be given from one person to another rather than. The rest is a blur to me, and it's often mixed with a lot of trauma. The road was hard.
Okay.
Real hard. Good, wonderful, deep lessons, but rock and roll is no joke, and I don't think it's for everyone. I love the things that I feel have affected people, the most or encouraged them, and oftentimes that's the intimate times.
And you're still doing that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like all the time?
Good bit.
Okay, a good bit. Because you did play the airport yesterday.
I did.
Yes, okay.
I sneak around.
So it sounds like you came here and then you went off to Atlanta.
I came to Austin. I went off to Nashville. Came back to Austin. Went off to LA. Came back to Austin.
What took you to Atlanta then? Because it's not
Atlanta
a music
was
town.
Early. That was still in my teen years. My dad worked at Emory.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. He's a professor. So we traveled around to different universities, and he's gone back to SIU at this point.
Okay, so instead of being a military brat, you're a professor brat.
Pretty much.
If you want to put it that way.
Yeah, well, we did. We traveled a lot. We were very insular, 7 kids. And
so you've worked with some great people. And you continue to, right?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about this song that you Tell me that the song you brought in today.
I don't know. I've just written maybe 5 or 6 in the last year that just kind of, I think, indicate new growth to me. And I lost a lot of people I love in the last 10 years. And this is some sort of acknowledgement of that to me.
Okay, well, let's listen to it.
You always told me how fast time flies. You'd always hold me in the still of the night. I still reach for you. I still reach for you.
That was really cool. I'm really glad you agreed to do a live performance.
Thanks for letting me. It's always wonderful to be challenged this way.
Do you have a working title for it, or is it still in flux?
I've been referring to it as Time Flies.
Time Flies.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll call it Time Flies, but maybe...
Who knows?
Who knows
I might
what it's
rename
going to
it
be.
Like Fiona Apple, a paragraph long.
Right,
title.
exactly.
Could be.
To be or not to be. So let's just think about what you're working on now. What are you trying to put together a bunch of songs for an album? Are you just kind of focusing on live performances and writing? Where's your focus today?
A little of all of the above. I'm collaborating with a wonderful woman in town named Penny Joe Pullis.
Okay, she was on here.
She's amazing.
Yeah,
she does a lot of different work. But she runs a nonprofit that supports women in the music industry called Text Chromosome.
Right.
And so that's sort of what I do in any spare time I have from school. I want to go support that because it's a easy place for me to focus my music attention and get with other women.
And are these showcases you put on around Austin?
She hosts showcases once a month throughout the year. And then I play out here and there. But I think I am working towards an album. I'm still letting these songs breathe a little bit before I record them.
Right. You've got 5 or 6 new ones. That's a good start.
Yeah.
So where can people find your work online?
I have stuff up at emilygraceclark.com.
Okay, very good. And do you do Facebook, Twitter, Instagram?
Not like an artist should. No one should. I don't do any Twitter, and my Facebook music one is not kept up. Maybe it is like an artist should. Because
Right.
I don't get into managing websites.
Right. Okay. So what you do is most easily accessed on emilygraceclark.com.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. This is probably going to come out in March. Do you have any shows that you want me to talk about? Nope. Maybe.
I'm going to be doing the National Cathedral again.
And where's that?
In Washington, D.C.
Okay. And is this an event that's...
It is through an organization called Vet Church, which is specifically helping people who've experienced, say, combat trauma.
PTSD?
Yeah. And moral injury, which is like a word that means you were put into situations where you did something against your conscience and you are learning how to cope with that.
Wow.
There is a man named Matt Williams who runs Vet Church. I stumbled into him on a little music thing I did last year in Louisiana.
Okay.
And our common interest sort of led us to... He invited me to a pilgrimage he puts on at the National Cathedral.
Okay.
Over the night of July 3rd into July 4th.
Okay.
It just is a sacred time where people, veterans specifically, can work through PTSD, specific trauma. He has different pastors and therapist types there, and we do a really cool walk through experiential type of a thing overnight into July 4th. It was one of the most powerful experiences I've had, honestly. It was...
So it's all night long?
It's from 10 o'clock at night until about 1 in the morning. Yeah.
Okay, so club hours.
Yeah, exactly. It's a massive, absolutely massive space with, underground chapels, and
Wow.
he walks you through all of them with different priests. There's a war chapel.
Okay.
Which I don't know what everybody else was doing, but I, took it really seriously. Did a lot of praying for our country and our world in that space, imagining all the people and the agendas that have gone through it in the past.
But do you sing?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And are there other artists, or you're just...
Yes.
Okay. So there's a bunch of artists that perform.
I was the only non-veteran artist.
Okay. But you are in the, trauma taken care of business.
Yes.
So that...
And I've experienced trauma.
Right, exactly.
Which you and I were talking earlier about being in therapy for a really long time.
Right, exactly.
I've been in therapy since I was 17, since Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
And I'm so glad, because it has given me so many useful tools. There's so much to be done with reprogramming your mind.
Absolutely.
After trauma. I love to get together with other people who have tricks and tools to
navigate
flourish.
Our artist lives.
Yeah.
I remember I met Jennifer Warrens, who's a Grammy-winning artist from the 80s.
Yes.
And she's the one that pointed me to that book, The Artist's Way, because, people don't realize that artists have a different set of brain pathways, that we just don't think like other people in other professions.
Well, and who's telling us how to think, period? What's the norm? I often imagine what some of my homeless are incredibly high functioning, doing fine, really don't like walls. And some of times it makes a lot of sense. Like they've come out of the penitentiary, or they've come from overseas doing work in the military, both of which make sense to me. Who's to say what normal is?
Right.
I think it's important to be kind to one another and respect each other's boundaries. Having said that, the rest, I don't know who started telling us what to do to begin with.
Well, maybe we should clarify that, going into therapy and working with a good therapist can help define what success is for us.
Yes.
How we can make ourselves happy on a day-to-day basis, help others, really be the best us that we can be.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Just sort of put aside that imagined idol of a judge in our minds and be ourselves.
Exactly.
That's what I love about you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Such a radiant, amazing, very inspiring punk rock woman.
Oh, I do my best, just get up every day and represent.
Bad to the bone.
Badass.
Bad to the bone.
Well, what are some of the other things that inspire you as a musician? Do you I know I study a lot of different artists. I'm always learning. I'm always learning, basically. I love practicing and stuff. I love just
definitely.
learning to be better, of a better singer, better pianist, better guitarist, better producer, writer, everything. But what motivates you musically?
Well, I try to find things that feel good, especially when I'm going through like a period of healing, which I imagine I am. I work with a guy named Stiles. He's here in town. He plays with Patrice Pike.
Okay.
But he's got his own thing going on called Crystal Finger.
Okay.
Which is funk and reggae and this just beautiful jam that he does. I think he's doing Monday nights at Sea Boys this month. I'm not sure.
Not sure what's going to happen in March, but we're recording in January, so
So I've been teaming up with him to do funk songs.
And
just
are these
to challenge
original?
myself.
No. You're doing.
No.
Give me some songs that you're doing.
I did The Music in Me last night. Thelma Houston.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was really fun.
Yeah. So you're like me. Sometimes you just want to sing like a black chick.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's taken me a long time to realize how much I was only influenced by Black women, period.
Okay. That was it.
Yeah. Mahalia, Odetta, Aretha.
Yep.
I didn't have anyone else. My parents were really funny about what kind of music I was allowed to listen to.
Okay.
So I had classical and like 70s Christian.
Oh my.
And Bob Dylan.
Okay.
And the African American ladies of
that you
the
mentioned.
revolution. Yeah.
Okay.
It took me a long time to realize how much I knew they influenced me, but it's an interesting thing.
Well, here's the thing. Was your family really religious?
Yeah. Spiritual and seeking. My dad's an intellectual, and he was an intellectual atheist through the 60s and the whole hippie thing. And he ended up going through this radical experience in Carbondale with the Jesus freaks. He was radically saved. I know.
Radically saved.
Big time. And I mean, I use that terminology because that's what he would say. And I have to say, like, his entire group of friends that they were all like in communes together and stuff, they're still claim that the experiences they had, they still very much feel they encountered the divine back then.
Okay. And that's changed their whole spiritual path.
So I feel they came a certain way. Like, if that's how the divine works, they evolved to a certain point, and I hope that I'm doing it further. I was raised that women were not allowed to preach at all. Oh. So what I'm doing is already much further than I was taught.
Okay. Does your father still feel that way, that women shouldn't preach?
I don't know.
Okay.
He doesn't talk to me about that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
We keep it
separate. Arm's distance. Okay.
Which is funny. Yep, we keep it separate.
So you have evolved to where you are getting your master's in divinity. You are a preacher.
I am. I'm also getting a master's in social work. It's a double.
Okay.
Back to
the homeless and the human trafficking and stuff like that. So
a little bit of in the system, a little bit of out of the system.
So you've got these two different things going on. You've got your occupation basically as somebody who's an advocate for people that don't have a voice.
Yeah.
But you're also having fun.
Yeah.
Doing funky stuff with what was his name?
Jay Stiles.
Jay Stiles. And what other things are you doing as far as developing musically?
I play showcases with Text Chromosome and Penny Joe.
Do you do that every month?
No, but I did it last month.
Okay.
And I will be doing it again soon. Definitely in March. And their Text Chromosome is going to Ireland at the end of June, and I'm hoping to go with my daughter, Margaret, actually.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Margaret's pretty good, by the way. She's in the background. And
she's amazing.
Yeah, she's a cute little...
She is a direct result of rock and roll colliding with mysticism.
Okay. And she wants to be a drummer, right?
Who knows? She wants to be many, many things. She does have rhythm.
That's good.
Yeah.
We should have more girl drummers out there.
Amen.
Amen. So what you'd really like to do is play another song, right?
I would, if you have the time and would let me.
We have the time, and let's listen to Emily Grace's other song. What's this one called?
Angelina, Please.
Awesome.
You wouldn't have said something I never would have noticed at all. Now I have to tear the whole thing down again, and I'm feeling small. She gets the best of me, why can't she just relent? Angelina, these last few days you've seemed so hell-bent. Angelina, please. Angelina, please. Won't you do no more for me than bring me to my begging knees? Angelina, please. Angelina, please. Why'd you even show up here with your whimsy in the first place? I'd have never known I was lost if I had never seen your face. She gets the best of me. She's a holy high roller. I'd be so much better off if I'd have never known her. Angelina, please. Angelina, please. Won't you do no more for me than bring me to my begging knees? Angelina, please. Angelina, please.
Well, that was cool. That was different from the first one.
Thanks.
Yeah, what's this one about?
I think I'm sort of making fun of people making fun of intense women, honestly.
Okay.
I think it's sort of that list of you're too much, you're driving me mad. I imagine it from a male perspective, really, I guess.
Right. You're just trying to get behind that.
You're allowed to think whatever you want about,
Okay.
Make up your own stuff. But yeah, there was I was bursting that bubble of maybe all the things that have been said around strong women,
Mm-hmm. Following the 2016 election. Oh, did I say that? Well, that's cool. Is this one recorded? Is this one people?
No.
Okay, so this is another one that you're working on.
Correct.
Okay, cool. And yeah, you sent a bunch of MP4s to me.
I did.
You obviously are in a great creative writing vein right now.
Well, it comes and goes, so you got to...
Right. You got to kind of ride that horse when it's ready.
Yeah, and be really gentle with yourself when you're in a period of time that you're not writing, because we're always learning,
You have to go out and experience, and then you'll have something to write about. So,
yeah.
Well, I'm glad we got to get a second song, and you're the first person I allowed to have two.
Oh, that's really kind of you.
Well, each singer-songwriter has their things.
Sure.
And I think we've shown our listeners a lot of good things about Emily Grace Clark.
Thank you, Gfire.
All right, girl. All right, now we'll say ta-ta.
See you soon.
Ciao.